Genesis 9, Kagaribi 10, Battle of BC 5, Super Smash Con 2023, Kagaribi 11. After 5 of the biggest events of the year, things concluded at Port Priority 8, the last premier event for LumiRank 2023. Featuring one of the most stacked brackets in Ultimate's history, we saw a titanic clash between North America, Japan, and Europe play out in the Pacific Northwest. 7 of Japan's top 10 and all of North America's top 10 entered the event, alongside several of Europe's best. When seeding was all said and done, all top 32 seeded players had placed top 8 at one or more majors in 2023. Stacked events happen, but this was looking like something historic. A majority of the top 50 was in attendance, and the lines between regions blurred. It was easily in the same echelon as events like EVO 2019 and 2GGC's Civil War. It played out exactly as you would expect. Total chaos. My name's Max Ketchum, and I'd like to welcome you all to another video by the LumiRank team. After day 1 went off without too many upsets, things were set up to go crazy on day 2. The first big upset that went down came in the first pool with Zamba against Umeki. Umeki has traveled to the States a lot over the years, often placing well, but never quite getting a breakout event. This was his first stateside event since quarantine though, so hopes were high. Things started to change at the top 32 qualifier, where a back and forth set ended on Umeki taking a last hit game 5 to win it all and defeat one of the best players in the United States. Not long after that, SkyJ would defeat Riddles in another game 5 set, although SkyJ's victory was much more dominant. Although the seeding for top 32 set up Zamba vs Riddles, fate intervened and left us with SkyJ against Umeki, the winner of whom would face Acola. We saw Apollo Kage come within striking distance of beating Acola, but Acola's near 90% game 5 win rate came in clutch, narrowly closing it out. It was a hard-fought victory, especially considering that Acola had shown signs of weakness in the Snake matchup at Delta 5. On the loser side, Kiarash, the Luigi of the future, went from a loss to Beastly in pools to a roaring losers run through top 128. He took out Konga, Jojo the Hobo, Peepnut, and finally Zamba to make top 32, bringing SoCal an incredible result. In our next pool, possibly the only calm part of the entire event, things went mostly as expected. Gak defeated Ouch in a minor upset, but he couldn't overcome Miya's relentless assault to make the winner side of top 32. Meanwhile, Light was feeling the heat. SoCal Snake player AC took him to game 5 early in the event, and Shattuck put up a massive fight for the winner side top 32 slot, the only game 5 for that spot in this pool. The other half of pools, however, would make up for this, with a cavalcade of big upsets, and close sets. Right off the bat, Anathema knocked Neo down to losers in a 3-2 nail-biter, while MVD managed to defeat Yaura after a long game 5 set. Ken and Spargo passed by without much fanfare, set to fight each other for the 5th time, with the other side of the bracket planned to be a Tweak vs MKLeo rematch. It would have been incredible, but plans change, and upsets happen. MVD nearly took MKLeo down, but Leo adjusted and performed a ruthless reverse 3-0. Tweak, meanwhile, was up 2-0 on Kaninabe, a Kansai Fox player at his North American debut. Kaninabe seemed strong, but Tweak's neutral was simply too powerful. Then, Kaninabe seemed to adapt. Game 3 ended with a clean stock from Kaninabe, and all of a sudden, he rolled over Tweak in Game 4. Tweak wasn't going down quietly, but after an incredibly close last hit 5th game, Kaninabe secured an unthinkable reverse 3-0 in the biggest upset of the event so far.
There! Oh, it's over! Kaninabe! Whoa! Whoa!
Tweak and MVD took their defeats in stride, both defeating their opponents and losers, Embo Z and Neo respectively, and securing their top 32 tickets. Anathema also made it after a loss to Spargo, and Karama, after losing to Ken, would defeat Yaura. The last pool was by far the most unexpected. While Kaninabe vs Tweak was a big deal, an off-stream set between Beast Mode Paul and Gluttony made an even bigger upset, with the Floridian hero player winning 3-1 and starting his warpath against Europe. At the same time, Skinny the Pooh, a Texan Mario player that recently just became known for his big upset over MKLeo at Rise and Grind, pulled off another high-profile set off-stream against Shuton. Onin, currently going by their old tag of Pocket, weathered a strong challenge from Tarek and also won narrowly over Skinny afterwards. Tarek, Germany's best player and a big EU invader these last few months, was looking to solidify his consistency in the States. Onin proved to be a bit too tall of a task for him though, and Tarek and Shuton would face off for 49th. That result would hurt no matter what, but Shuton simply couldn't hold on. Tarek took the set after another tense game 5. Shuton, using his Olimar, notably had a dominant record over European players. That said, Tarek had come close at a pre-local for Super Smash Con, and this time he was able to finish the job. So far, some of the most impactful moments of this tournament have been the product of narrow victories. This all added up to a hellish dive for Europe, where Siski would fight Tarek for 33rd after Andres FN was eliminated, and while Gluttony was tearing up losers. Things ended rough though. Siski became one of 2 surviving European players out of top 128, and he was slated to fight Beast Mode Paul. Meanwhile, Dabuz and Cola quietly passed through to winners top 32. Sonix had a high-stakes set against Big D, and the set went the distance. Whoever lost would face Gluttony. If Sonix lost, he'd be favored, but Gluttony avoided his biggest bracket demon as Sonix was able to clutch it out over Big D in Game 5. Finally, Gluttony defeated Big D, putting an end to top 128. Now, the top 32 is set. Winner's bracket looked similar to events like Battle of BC5. Japan, despite losing a few along the way, came out comparatively unscathed. North America had a chance to fire back though, with 3 Japan vs Mexico sets coming up. Umeki vs SkyJ was a pretty even playing field. Momentum swung back and forth between the two, but Umeki prevailed in another Game 5 last hit scenario, showing his steal and placing him in the top 8 qualifier against none other than Acola, who quickly dispatched Ashimo. The other 2 sets were much more involved. Ken and Spargo had fought 4 times before this event, with Spargo managing to come out on top every single time. Before their last set, every single meeting between the two turned into a Game 5 nail-biter that saw Ken coming up just short. This was the same story for Ken against a lot of top North American players, but this time, things could be different. He had, after all, beaten his bracket demons Zamba and Meister earlier this year. Kaninabe, presumed to be a dead man walking against MKLeo, instead gave a solid answer. MKLeo won Game 1, but Kaninabe held on tight as the set progressed. Despite his slump, MKLeo still managed to masterfully reverse things against MVD, and he's still an incredibly dangerous player, with a strong record against Light. Both of these sets would turn into something more though. MKLeo had to fight for his life, and Spargo felt Ken's full pressure as things once again went to Game 5. These 2 sets were going on at the exact same time, and the tension in the room was palpable. They both went as far as they possibly could, until within about 20 seconds of each other, Kaninabe and Ken both clutched their sets, resulting in basically simultaneous losses for MKLeo and Spargo. Japan had triumphed in its gauntlet against Mexico, leaving 5 players from Japan in winners on the cusp of a top 8. The American branch of this bracket, where Shuton's absence was felt, came down to Sonix showcasing his skill in the Steve matchup against Onin, and Cola continuing his strong record against Dabuz. By this time, Miya had made quick work of T, and was set to fight either Hurt or Light for top 8. There was so much on the line for their set. Hurt has been increasingly called the best snake in the world after his run at Delta 5, and Light has struggled past multiple Game 5s in this bracket. Fortune would smile on him though, with a couple critical flubs from Hurt costing him the set. Despite all the build-up, the top 8 qualifier sets for winners were mostly clean for each successful player. Sonix managed to defeat Cola in a solid 3-1, and Ken seemed unfazed by Kaninabe's incredible momentum. Light, hoping for a rematch against Miya after his loss at SmashCon, was swiftly beaten in a complete shutout. Umeki vs Acola went to Game 5, and seemed a bit tense near the end, but Acola was able to come out on top, despite suffering from some controller issues. Still, a win was a win, and our winner's side top 8 was set. Acola vs Sonix, Miya vs Ken. Big day for Japan? You bet. Losers, as one might expect, was extremely brutal. Gluttony had been effortlessly rolling through the bracket, but T stopped him dead in his tracks. Meister had gotten revenge on Gact from Delfino Mazza earlier in the year, but he couldn't overcome Onin. The 2 most shocking moments of the group, though, were MuteAce, who had just narrowly beaten Apollo Kage for 25th, beating MKLeo 3-0. Riddles, similarly, managed to dispatch Spargo. The theme of losers so far was a lot of potentially career-defining losers runs getting mercilessly snuffed out. The resulting sets left a crater. All of Mexico's top players in attendance, 17th place. Beast Mode Paul, who defeated Siski for 25th, similarly fell at 17th, as did Ashimo. So far, only Tweak and MuteAce were manifesting a big losers run. MuteAce's run would continue. He outplaced Ashimo despite losing to him early in the bracket, and now he managed to shred through both Riddles and Cola to make top 8. MuteAce's opponent was set to be a top Japanese player. The options would vary, but he'd fight one of either T, Hurt, or Umeki. All of these players had a lot to show and to give. T was looking for a big comeback tournament, Hurt was looking for a big first impression in the US, and Umeki was looking to finally make that top 8 at an American major. Of those 3, it was the Super Major TO and Daisy main extraordinaire Umeki who was victorious. Finally, after years of trying, Umeki finally managed to make top 8 at an American major. He defeated Hurt 3-1 to get in there, setting up a Peach vs Daisy ditto against MuteAce for the first set of top 8. While this was happening, Tweak had quietly put a stop to Anathema's run through the losers bracket. Anathema defeated MVD and Ashimo to get there, but then, after Tweak defeated him, he was set up to fight against Light next. The two have had a long-standing rivalry with basically equal set and game counts. It's been a lifetime piece of Ultimate's history, and as close as it seems, it wasn't reflected in that set. Light made a clean sweep over Tweak to secure himself a spot in the top 8, ending the Diddy Kong player's run at 9th. With MuteAce vs Umeki already set to play, there could be another very uncommon character ditto on the other side of Loser's top 8 if Kaninabe was able to make it there. Only one more player stood in his path, and that was Onin. Despite a matchup notorious for the 0 to death combos from Steve's jab, Kaninabe wasn't having any of that. Although he struggled at some points in the set, he quickly snowballed it into a 3-1 victory over Onin, closing out the top 32 and leaving us with one of the most unexpected top 8s of the year. And with that, the top 8 was decided. Sonix and Acola would face off for the first time ever in a much anticipated match. Ken and Miya would play each other for the 5th time, and Loser's Bracket set up 2 crazy dittos. MuteAce vs Umeki, the best Peach in America versus the best Peach in Japan, and Light vs Kaninabe, the best Fox in America versus the best Fox in Japan. First up was Peach vs Daisy. MuteAce won Game 1, but Umeki's insane clutch factor in Games 2 and 3 set the stage for this set. He had amazing recoveries and counters on MuteAce's recovery to play it cool and keep his head on straight throughout the entire thing. Once again, he turned on the engines in Game 5 and made it happen with the Toad.
He's starting to bring this back. No way! No way! He's OD!
Now that Umeki had secured his spot in top 6, Light and Kaninabe fought in a battle of the 2 best Fox players in the world. Unlike the last set, things were close right out the gate, with both of them trading extremely close games. Light would slowly adjust as things went on, but Kaninabe kept it close and explosive, giving viewers a highlight set of the tournament.
I love that. Great patience. Wait a minute, but up smash getting it done on Light. He's hitting the Homelander up there.
The theme of the winner's side top 8 was dominance, though. Acola and Sonix, 2 of the greatest online players of all time, and now 2 of the best players in the world, had never met before today. It was a highly anticipated set, despite how slow it might have turned out given the characters involved. With that said, it wasn't slow at all. Sonix has hyped up his abilities in this matchup for years, and he bested Acola in an aggressive 3-0. After majors had been defined by players like Acola and Spargo for months, it was Sonix who cleared his way to winners finals.
3-0 over Acola! He said, I believe and I can do it!
And who else would meet him there but another top 3 player, and another top Wi-Fi warrior? Sonix and Acola had gone through bracket with some difficulty, but Miya, on the other hand, had not. He cleaned every single set up to that point, not dropping any games, including against Ken in the winners semifinals. A super major winners bracket run like that had not been accomplished since MK Leo at the Ludwig Smash Invitational. The winners final started off fairly back and forth. Sonix gave Miya his first game loss of the event, and Miya fought back with a 2-stock. But when it was all said and done, Sonix cleared Miya with back-to-back 2-stocks, locking himself into Grand Finals as North America's sole survivor on the winner's side. Loser's bracket from here featured a qualifier set for Watch the Throne. It was between Ken and Umeki, and while Umeki initially seemed competitive in the set, things snowballed as Ken proved too overwhelming. Similarly, Light rematched Acola for the first time in months, with training from Miya's Steve, no less, but Acola found particular exploitation of Steve's jab against Fox and cleaned it up. It was looking like Acola was making another crazy losers run, defeating Ken and taking a big game 1 over Miya in losers finals. After an odd counterpick choice to Aegis, perhaps in preparation for Sonix, Miya began to take control of the set. Up to this point, their set history had been heavily in Acola's favor. However, it was now whittled down to just a 5-3, while Miya had taken the last few. Miya swiftly defeated the Aegis and the Steve in games 3 and 4, which gave Acola his first non-top 2 placement in months. It also set up a rematch between Sonix and Miya. It was one hell of a rematch. Clocking in at nearly an hour, Miya would strike back with force in the first set, winning a slow but sure 3-1. Courtesy of his very thorough punish game, Miya was able to reset the bracket and take the first set, proving his capabilities. At this point, each of them had won a set, setting up for a second set of Grand Finals with no predictable outcome. Anyone could take it home. Miya had momentum, and he held on with a timeout in Game 2, but the reset would be an inverse of the first Grand Final set, with Sonix finally closing out Port Priority 8 and becoming champion of one of the most exhausting, difficult brackets that Smash Ultimate has ever seen.
It's gonna be a net! What? That's gonna do it! Damn your seeds! Damn your curses! Damn your hates! That man is your damn champion of Port Priority 8!
After a long ride through the season's final premiere event, it ended with a new winner. Sonix, looking to crack the top 3 for the year, is trying to contend with Acola, Miya, and Sparko. This event has put them on the map. It saw the dominance of Japan down in the rest of the bracket though, with 5 out of 8 top 8 slots going to them. This is, of course, with many notable names from Japan being absent as well. All of this also set up for Watch the Throne, the year's finale event comprised of top North American, European, and Japanese talent in a summit-like format. With Ken clinching the invite, it rounded out the Japanese roster and set the 2 regions up for another confrontation. It also gives Europe another chance to shine as they look to end the year strong. Port Priority 8 is going to go down as one of the most difficult open bracket majors of the last several years, maybe even of all time. But you know the vibes. Only one player can be the champion.